Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Medisodes. I'm Adrian, and here with me are Shrey, Surya, and Anupam. This week we're going to be talking about alternative medicine. It's a controversial topic, with several different opinions from doctors and patients. It's prevalent in medicine today, with nearly 40% of adults in the United States using some form of alternative medicine. The widespread popularity of alternative medicine has brought attention to the existence of both a knowledge and a communication gap for healthcare professionals with respect to being able to properly advise patients about these treatments. Before we delve into the ins and outs of alternative medicine, let's start with the question, what is alternative medicine? Alternative medicine is any therapy or practice that aims to achieve the healing effects of traditional medicine, but is either untested or proven ineffective. Another term that is closely linked to alternative medicine is complementary medicine. As the name suggests, alternative medicine refers to therapies that are meant to replace traditional medical treatments, whereas complementary medicine refers to therapies that go alongside medical treatments. Alternative medicine, in almost all cases, is not prescribed by a doctor or other healthcare professional. People may seek out alternative treatments for several reasons, some of which include being dissatisfied with conventional treatment, seeking autonomy over medical treatment, alternatives being considered more compliant with the patient's values or beliefs. So, to get a better understanding of alternative medicines, I'll go through a few examples of alternative therapies. We'll start with acupuncture. It's a form of alternative medicine and is a key component of traditional Chinese medicine. Acupuncture can be described as a pseudoscience, which refers to beliefs and practices that claim to be both scientific and factual, but do not follow the scientific method that all ideas in science have to follow. In acupuncture, needles are inserted into the body. Acupuncture is a broad term, and within are several different types of acupuncture, which originate from several different philosophies. The main aim of acupuncture is to achieve pain relief, and it is generally used in combination with other treatments. The conclusion of trials and reviews about acupuncture are inconsistent. Homeopathy is another form of alternative medicine. It is based upon the belief that a substance that causes a disease in healthy people can cure symptoms in people that already have the disease. This belief can be summarized as like cures like. Homeopathic preparations are called remedies, and they are made in a process called homeopathic dilution. The selected substance is repeatedly diluted until the final product is chemically indistinguishable from the solvent. Practitioners of homeopathy are called homeopaths, and they may shake or strike the mixture between each dilution, claiming that this makes the solvent remember the original solute after its removal. It is claimed that the solution that is derived from this can cure disease. Homeopathy was most popular in the 19th century. It was introduced to the United States in 1825, with the first homeopathic school opening in 1835. Following this, dozens of similar institutions opened across Europe. In this period, homeopathy appeared relatively successful compared to other treatments at the time. Now onto herbal medicine. Herbal medicine, also called phytomedicine, is the use of medicinal plants as a therapy. Though many medicines nowadays use plant-derived compounds, herbal medicine does not follow the same strict regulations as other medications, and does not have standards for dosage or purity levels. Herbal medicine can be extended to include other natural products too, such as those from fungi. The World Health Organization estimates that 80% of the population of some Asian and African countries use herbal medicines for primary healthcare. Modern pharmaceuticals are expensive for most of the world's population, which means that herbal medicines that can be grown from seed cheaply are preferable. Many current pharmaceutical products have substances from plants that have been used for herbal remedies long before established as a formal medicine. An estimated 25% of modern medicines used in the United States have been derived from plants. The use of herbal medicines is more common in patients that have a chronic disease, such as cancer or diabetes. Other factors, including ethnicity, education, and age, are associated with herbal remedy use. Osteopathy is another type of alternative medicine. It emphasizes physically maneuvering the body's muscles and bones. Osteopathic manipulation is the core set of techniques that are used in osteopathy. Some types of osteopathy, such as craniosacral therapy, have no proven benefit and so are labeled as a pseudoscience. It is important not to confuse osteopathic medicine and osteopathy. Osteopathic medicine is a holistic approach to medicine, treating the entire person rather than just the symptoms. Osteopathic doctors are not those who practice osteopathy. An integral belief of osteopathy is that problems in the body's anatomy can affect proper functionality, and another belief is that the body can heal itself as much as possible. Osteopathic manipulative techniques aim to eliminate the damage to proper structure and function so that the self-healing mechanism can finish the healing process. So, I have just discussed 4 of the several different types of alternative medicine that exist. It is important to remember that complementary and alternative medicine is by no means limited to these 4 therapies, and there are hundreds upon hundreds of more available, though some may be more popular than others. Now, I'll be handing over to Anupam, who will be discussing the effectiveness of alternative and complementary medicine.
I'm going to be going over the 4 alternative medicines that Adrian discussed and talking about how effective they really are in treating patients for their conditions. A few overall notes before I begin. In almost all cases where these are recommended, it will always be in conjunction with mainstream medicine. It is very rare that it's ever advised to only rely on alternative medicines. Furthermore, whenever I refer to the NHS guidelines, these are all set by the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence, or NICE. And furthermore, if you hear me mention the term Cochrane reviews, this refers to the British International Charitable Organisation Cochrane, which has many research facilities around the world, specifically for medical research. So let's begin with acupuncture. It is primarily used for pain relief. However, it has been claimed to have many wider benefits. In terms of its pain relief treatment, it has been shown to help ease chronic pains especially, such as in the lower back, the neck, and osteoarthritis, such as in the knee. And as well as that, it can help reduce the frequency, or prevent even, tension and migraine headaches. It must be noted, however, this is only recorded in some people. Cochrane reviews into the subject have found insufficient evidence for curing or preventing lower back pain, and it's not very effective on a wide range of conditions. However, for headaches, such as the tension and migraine headaches I mentioned, it has been shown to have a small effect and, I quote, is similarly effective to prophylactic medications. As a result, the NHS recommends the use of acupuncture only as a treatment option for headaches. Its effectiveness is not fully understood, mostly due to difficulties in testing it. The way it's tested is obviously through clinical studies, as all medical discoveries are. However, it's very difficult to design an effective control group for acupuncture, and near impossible to perform a double-blind test. The way they have devised performing clinical studies on acupuncture is by using sham acupuncture techniques, where they would place the needle in the wrong place, not according to the traditional or Western acupuncture guidelines, or they don't place needles at all and instead pretend to simulate pressure. Another problem with studying acupuncture and its effectiveness is publication bias. A lot of evidence in articles coming from Eastern countries especially, such as Japan, Korea, China, and Southeast Asia, has shown very strong opinions that acupuncture is very good. However, this is countered by deniability in the West, such as the US and Europe. This is, of course, due to cultural differences and where acupuncture has actually come from. Overall, it is effective in pain relief for some people. However, the other conditions that it's listed as treating by some acupuncture enthusiasts, this ranges from Alzheimer's to cocaine addiction, dry eye to glaucoma, irritable bowel syndrome to post-traumatic stress disorder, stroke, and even tinnitus. A lot of these are proven to not be possible to be cured by acupuncture. We move on now to homeopathy. In 2010, the House of Commons Science and Technology Committee delivered a report on homeopathy and declared it no better than placebos and that it is scientifically implausible. This is also supported by multiple Cochrane reviews. The NHS does not recommend it in any situation of care, mostly just because of the extreme dilution that happens, meaning sometimes there is not even a single molecule of the substance within the homeopathic solution. Its effectiveness, therefore, is very, very low. We now move on to herbal medicine and dietary supplements, and we'll start with dietary supplements. Dietary or food supplements are classed by the FDA in America and the Food Standards Agency in the UK as Any food, the purpose of which is to supplement the normal diet and which is a concentrated source of a vitamin or mineral or other substance with a nutritional or physiological effect, alone or in combination, and is sold in dose form. In terms of NHS recommendations, they only recommend folic acid or vitamin B9, vitamin D, and vitamins A, B, and C supplements in specific situations. For example, folic acid is recommended for pregnant women. Vitamin D is recommended for people who spend a lot of time indoors or children under the age of 4. And vitamins A, B, C, and D are recommended for children under the age of 5. The main problem with the effectiveness of dietary supplements is that there is a lack of trust from the many suppliers that produce them, and so it is only recommended if it is in a necessary situation or if it's from a trusted supplier. More than that, heavy doses have been proven to not be effective. Now let's move on to herbal medicines in this same subtopic. They are proven to have an effect on the body. However, limited scientific evidence is available for the specific effects, and again, it only works in certain people at certain times. Studies have shown their effectiveness is in very limited ways. For example, the type of herb, the type of condition, and your genetic and ethnic background can play a massive role in how herbal medicines affect you. Due to widespread safety concerns, which Shrey and Shree will get into later, they are mostly disregarded in terms of their effectiveness. And finally, we go on to osteopathy. The NHS recommends manual therapy, or osteopathy, alongside exercise for lower back pain, but not for any other kind of pain, whether that be osteoarthritis, neck, or other. This is because of limited evidence. There is also no evidence for its effectiveness beyond the musculoskeletal system. A Cochrane review has shown that it is not recommended in treatment for pneumonia and other associated respiratory conditions. However, an article in the New England Journal of Medicine has shown it is good for lower back pain, concurring with what the NHS recommends. In summary, some of these alternative medicines have been proven to be effective. However, it is in very limited ways and nowhere near to the extent that some people will tell you they are effective. And in almost no cases will it be without other forms of mainstream medicine. We'll now move on to Shree, who will discuss the advantages of some of these alternative medicines.
So I'm going to be talking about how alternative medicine can be very useful as a form of treatment. Alternative treatment may be useful when you're on the NHS waiting list and may need to relieve symptoms with some sort of treatment before being treated by the healthcare system. In this modern age of patient-centered care, you as the patient might not agree with the doctor's management plan and might want to try some alternative treatments to relieve any symptoms. Alternative medicine is also very useful because it can help to treat both physical as well as mental health conditions. Though this depends on the specific treatment, alternative treatments are very effective at treating feelings of depression and anxiety. Alternative medicines have been used for many centuries. The main reason for their popularity is that they can help with maintaining a person's holistic health. For example, one aspect of traditional Chinese medicine is aiming to restore an energy balance in the body, which can help cure a wide variety of health conditions. Alternative medical traditions, such as Ayurvedic medicine, was also the basis of many non-invasive lifestyle changes that can be made to cure diseases. For example, meditation is a great way of helping to reduce stress-related conditions, as it was thought to achieve spiritual balance of the body. Alternative herbal treatments from Ayurvedic medicine include ingredients such as holy basil and licorice root. Treatments made from these herbal ingredients can cure many health problems such as skin-related conditions and arthritis. Homeopathy can help cure both acute and chronic conditions. The fact that alternative treatments can help treat chronic conditions can help assist patients in care homes who suffer from chronic conditions such as arthritis and diabetes. Osteopathy can be used alongside physiotherapy in order to treat lower back pain, shoulder pain, and other problems. So I think that alternative medicine can be utilized appropriately. The NHS can link services that provide alternative treatments with care homes through social prescription by GPs, so that alternative medicine can be combined with modern Western medicine as well. This is known as complementary treatments. Alternative medicine can by no means completely replace our current medical treatments, but can provide a great way to help relieve symptoms, maintain holistic care, and help relieve pressure on the NHS by providing effective alternative treatments. Now on to Shrey.
So, alternative medicines can have some dangers. Let's start with osteopathy, which is the only one of the four we've been discussing that's regulated in the UK, and it's regulated by the General Osteopathic Council. Practices of osteopathy have to have a 5-year honours degree program, and this ensures that they know what they're doing. However, in other countries, this may not be the case, and it might be a free for all where anyone can treat it. And this applies to many other alternative therapies. Osteopathy is mainly regarded as safe as long as it's done by someone that's qualified, but in rare cases, those with spinal issues can have artery wall tears, which leads to blood loss and can lead to death. As in all medical treatments, there are risks and benefits to all of these, and it is up to the patient as well as their GP to decide what's best for them. Osteopathy is not recommended for those with certain health conditions such as osteoporosis, fractures, haemophilia, cancer, and MS, which is multiple sclerosis. Now, on to homeopathy. As I mentioned, homeopathy is not regulated in the UK, and as Anupam mentioned, it's ineffective and not recommended for any treatments. However, this doesn't mean that it's dangerous. There's not really many severe side effects from homeopathy, given that it's basically just water or whichever solvent they choose to use. As long as that solvent is safe, it's pretty safe, although ineffective. Next, on to acupuncture. It's only recommended for certain headaches and migraines, and there's no statutory regulation of acupuncture. However, it's safe when done by a qualified professional. Obviously, if you're sticking needles into people, there's obviously a risk that something bad could happen. And especially if the person isn't fully trained in how to do it, it might be quite painful. And if they do something wrong, it could lead to serious consequences. Finally, on to herbal medicine. And it's important to note that just because it's natural doesn't mean it's safe. Many natural things are actually more dangerous than artificial chemicals made in a lab. It may also reduce the effects of other medication the patient is on, and this could be especially damaging if, say, that person is having chemotherapy. That chemotherapy may not be as effective if they're taking other herbal medicines, and you could have bad reactions and side effects as with any medicine. Again, herbal medicine is not fully regulated. There are certain restrictions on the compounds inside it, but if you buy herbal medicines from abroad, these won't apply. Herbal medicine is not backed up by scientific research, and that comes with risks in itself. Also, herbal medicine is not recommended for people taking other medication as they reduce the effects, as I said, and also serious health conditions like liver or kidney disease, those that are about to have surgery as it interferes with anesthetics, those who are pregnant, and those who are elderly, and those who are children. So we talked about specifics so far, and some general dangers that occur with all alternative medicines are that apart from osteopathy and chiropractic, all of the other alternative medicines are not regulated, at least within the UK, and this comes with obvious risks. For example, it means that anyone can practice, whether they're qualified or not, and there's the risk of having fake substandard products, especially within herbal medicine, and especially within acupuncture. If the needles aren't to medical grade, that could be quite damaging to you. And you need to make sure that you research the person that you're going to have the alternative therapy from. And although it's not legally regulated, there are some accreditations that are available to make sure that you're getting a qualified and trustworthy practitioner. Another risk is that you could delay treatment. So that could mean, especially with cancer treatments, that could cause a huge risk, and that
the chemotherapy might not be as effective, or whichever other therapy you're getting. And this obviously reduces your chances of the cancer treatment working. We've also seen that during COVID, many alternative medicines have been proposed that are basically just quack medicines. They don't work at all. That could be particularly dangerous, especially if they're used as alternatives to vaccines. If you want to know more about vaccines, please check out our video on that. And basically, with vaccines, many people are using alternative medicines instead of taking the vaccine. And this is reducing vaccine take-up in BAME groups because homeopathy and other alternative treatments are really big in India, China, Africa, and other parts of Asia. And this obviously is meaning it's harder to fight COVID-19. And given that the vaccines are the only way out of the pandemic, it's actually delaying the end of the pandemic, which is obviously a very bad thing. We talked about how alternative medicines can be good, they can be bad, they can be risky, and what they are and how they work. And now over to Adrian.
So thank you everyone for all the points you've made. They give our audience a broad view of alternative medicines, and the 4 types we've discussed are 4 of the main types of alternative medicine. This raises the question, do you think that alternative medicine should be regulated in the same way that we regulate traditional medicines?
Well, I think it's really important to regulate these alternative medical treatments because, as has been pointed out, alternative medical treatments could be subject to manipulation because if they're not regulated, then anyone can sell any medication without properly knowing whether they're effective or not. So I think that regulation is essential to prevent quackery from occurring, which means that people selling fake medicines on the market, which has been occurring for the past few centuries. And if we're to stop regulating alternative medical treatments, then that could arise once again.
I would definitely agree with what Shri has said. I think that a lot of the scientific community's problem with these alternative medicines lies in the fact that people are being misled by them in terms of they aren't getting what is promised. And in terms of safety, it's a huge issue. And that's one that could be pretty easily solved by regulation. As we've seen with osteopathy, it's allowed people to continue to practice it without banning it. However, it's made sure it's done in a safe way.
I'd like to just elaborate on your point about misleading, because since there's no regulatory organization for alternative medicines, it means that companies have a free-for-all in terms of advertising and promoting their product. And this could lead to misleading advertisements for customers who may be desperate for treatment, and they might be purchasing medicine that is either harmful, ineffective, or simply a waste of money. So I think you made a good point about regulatory organizations playing a key role in informing the public of how medicines work and how effective they are, as well as how to safely take them.
Also, many of these, especially in India and China, the herbal medicines are kind of folk medicines that are entwined within religion, and we need to make sure that medicine is dictated by science and not religion, and to make sure that it's safe. Because, for example, in India, many children with type 1 diabetes are told not to take insulin and instead to take Ayurvedic products. And this leads to their glucose levels running haywire. And then some of them have died. And it's really bad that that's been allowed to happen. We need to safeguard, especially children, especially those that are vulnerable to cheap tricks like this, that we have the right framework so that people don't get misled.
While I agree strongly with what Shreya said there, I also think it's important to let people have the right to choose their own treatment. It's a very important thing that a patient has autonomy over themselves in terms of treatment. And so we cannot ban or restrict people from using these alternative medicines, even if the scientific community does not believe in them. If people do believe in them, we have to have them have that choice to use them.
Also, many people use alternative therapies because they simply can't afford mainstream medicine, especially in countries without socialized healthcare systems where medicines are subsidized by the state. Medicine can be hugely expensive, and alternative medicines tend to be much cheaper than conventional ones. So if people just can't afford medical treatment, then they will turn to alternative treatments, and this needs to be addressed as well with cheaper drugs for those that need it, especially in the developing world.
And now for the big question. Do you think alternative medicines should be banned from the market completely?
Well, I think it's really hard to ban any alternative medicine from entering the market because inevitably there are people that will ultimately start selling them through other ways. And so I think that banning them is not the ultimate solution here. And I think that regulating is like the only way that this can move forward, because as some countries have proven, like India, they have incorporated Ayurvedic medicine into their regulation, and I think it's called Ayush. And they've kept it under control so that it doesn't affect the efficacy of existing treatments. So I think that banning is not the solution, as inevitably there will be people that will continue to sell these alternative medicines.
I think, as has been touched on before, patient sovereignty and the ability of patients to choose what care they get is really important, and that's why we shouldn't ban alternative medicine as such. In the same way, we don't ban cigarettes, we shouldn't ban alternative medicine. People should still have the choice to do what they want. They should also have the right information before they carry out those choices.
So, we've touched on several arguments for and against alternative medicine, and I hope we've given you a good insight into the world of alternative medicine and why it's such a controversial topic. Thank you everybody for listening to this week's episode of Medisodes, and we'll see you next week for another episode. Thank you.